What's up, guys? And so with the Fast X, aka Fast and Furious 10, is out official release in theaters, and with this film, we find this to be the end of the road. It is with the Dom Toretto and his family, and that are in the injury, and with the Dante, who played by Jason Momoa, who is the villain of this film. And I gotta say, with this film, I found it to be like good, and it's just sort of like action by fun. It was like ridiculous. It's sort of like a good way, and like that's really with the overall plot and the story. It was kind of all over the place, and so much more as well. And so in the video, there's maybe a full official review for a Fast X, go over everything that went down, and just my impressions and opinions and thoughts about this film, even for what I liked and didn't like about the film in general, and also to talk about the post-credit scene that sets up like kind of like the beginning of the end for this franchise as well. And so if you're new to the channel, and don't like this, be sure to subscribe and the bell so don't miss all future videos. And this is so let's get into it. And now, with this film, we follow Dom Toretto as family horror and the dangerous because with Dante, played by Jason Momoa, who's now after him for revenge after his father was killed. And even with just the overall plot and how this movie is like set up, and the story was like all over the place, trying to go to many different locations all at once. And even going in this film, I was a fan of F9, and with I think try to take this franchise into space and try to do it in like a new way. I was a fan. It wasn't fun, but I gotta say with like a Fast X, I think it was a slight improvement from the last one, but I really enjoyed a Fast 5 and a Furious 7. I think those are like the best films, but with the Fast X, like the overall plot, it was just all over the place. And now I want to talk about the characters in this film, and that's with Jason Momoa as Dante, the villain of this film, and with the way that like he portrays his character, it's sort of neat and well done, as he sees after Dom Toretto and his family, and Lily does destroy everything and everyone that like Dom loves, and just like, it keeps you on the edge of your seat, and even with the action overall, and like he was like the Joker and the Thanos in this franchise, as he was able to bring his best and having the time of his life, and just trying to destroy everything, and like trying to do like in many different locations, and even with Dom Toretto and his family that are clearly not safe. It's because with Dante and his men who are agents are trying to go after his family. And next, I wanted to talk about John Cena as Jacob, because if y'all remember from F9, when Jacob was introduced as Dom's brother, he was essentially the bad guy trying to take out his family. But even with Jacob in this film, like he was sort of like the cool uncle to Brian Toretto, Dom's son, and even like that with a Dom that is trying to raise his son by teaching him to drive, and just like he wants to drive just like his father, and eventually go into street racing, and even with Jacob being this sort of cool uncle to Brian, even with his cool action scenes with the Toretto household being attacked by agents who are after Dom Toretto and his family, and like even especially after Mia and Brian, and even with Jacob coming in and saving the day, and even with his family like that they are on the run, especially with Brian and Jacob, and as they are on this road together, and with John Cena, I really love the humor that he brought. Even there's a little peacemaker moment in there where he was like jamming out to a song, and I really love the John Cena song. I thought Jason Momoa and John Cena were essentially the highlights of this film. Especially for how this movie opens up, is it essentially the third act from Fast 5, from when Dom and Brian were like taking the vault in a Rio that had like $100 million in it, and with Dante who's now out for revenge, and like even as father was killed, and like even that like with Dante, like he essentially died, but then he came back to life, and now like like with Dante now getting revenge for his father, who is essentially a Mr. Nobody from a Fast Five, and I still found to be, I think, the best in the franchise because it introduced the Rock as Hobbs, and even I'll get that post credit scene in a bit, but like it's essentially that's how the movie opens up, and even when it's a franchise as a whole, like even with its other sequels, I think like they were like, oh, okay, but I think like with the Fast Five, I think it was most important because that's what the movie basically opened up with. And with this film, that went to many different locations such as for Brazil, Nepal, Rome, and even Antarctica, and even with that car chase in Rome from when Dom and his friends are being like essentially trapped there by Dante and his crew, and like literally destroying everything in Rome and like planting a bomb and like planting blowing up parts of Rome, and even with Dom that's like doing everything that I can to stop the bomb from blowing up, and even with the action that is being pulled up, it's really good, and then even with Jason Momoa's performance as Dante in his car chase scene, like it's really pulled off, and he was really the Joker and trying to destroy everything, and even with the stunts that are pulled up with the car racing and the action scenes, it's really well put together. With this movie also goes to Rio for when Dom confronts Dante about his father, and then I had to go into like a street racing, and even that if like Dom wins, he gets to take Dante in, and even though it's about played by Daniela Manhaner, who is mostly known for Rat Catcher 2 in the Suicide Squad, even Diego from Dom's, and even as they're entering in this street race, and then with Dante that I played two bombs on two cars, and like even with the only person Dom saves is Isabel, well the other one is essentially blows up. I think with that street racing scene where Dom tells Dante to a race, I think that was basically the highlight of this film, and that scene I pretty much enjoyed. Even with the cameos in the film, like, they were like really fun, and especially in the scene right here for when Brian and Jacob are at the airport about to like get on their flight, and then we see like these a couple cameos from Debbie Ryan and her husband, and even in this scene right here for when the crew is going into a shop, and we get a cameo by Pete Davidson, and I think I enjoy his cameo, and like even though like I mean I just really enjoy the cameos in the film, and just with the overall action, I feel like I was like zoned out for like the latter half of the film, and it's a little bit confusing, and even with the overall story, it was like all over the place, and like it felt like really good, but also very unsatisfying. Also, with Brian and Jacob on the plane, and with his flight attendant, and this is a cameo by Meadow Walker, the daughter of Paul Walker, and I think that this is like a great way to pay a tribute to Paul Walker, who basically started this franchise by having his daughter having a cameo in this film as a flight attendant. And with Brie Larson as Tess in this film, I really enjoyed her character. I thought she was like a great addition to this franchise, and like she was like trying to help out Dom, and like even though like with Brie Larson being like a part of the film, I just really enjoyed her character and like so much more. With the return of Jason Statham as Deckard Shaw, I mean, like, and even with a spinoff with the Rock called Hobbs and Shaw, I mean, I really enjoyed that film. Even with this scene right here, I think that this was like kind of like in the post-credit scene for F9, for when Han goes to visit Shaw, and like, even though that was Shaw, that like he basically killed Han, and like they end up in like a fight, but then after that with Shaw, he was right there with the crew, and he was going to help him, especially with Dante that is now after everyone. Even in this third act final battle right here, for when we see Dom trying to rescue Brian from Dante, who he had kidnapped, and even with Jacob that trying to prevent Dante and his team of mercenaries from killing Dom and his son, and even with Jacob right here making the ultimate sacrifice, and even with the son that really killed his character off, and even though he was injured in F9 as Dom's brother, and I can't believe that I didn't kill off his character, but it was the ultimate sacrifice that I had to make to save Dom and his son. Even with the action scenes that are performed here, and even with the car chase on the highway with a Dom backing his car out of a plane and landing onto the highway, and give all the best action that it needed to, especially in this film and even for the third act. And then we get to the ending for where Dom and his son are on the bridge, and with Dante trying to mess around and even try to kill them, and that is essentially that's all he was trying to do in this film, is go after Dom and his family and his crew. Even though with his crew right here that basically dies, and there's a plane crash, especially with Angel who is revealed to be working for Dante this entire time, and that he was just talking with Tess, but even though he was essentially the bad guy and working for Dante, and with the bomb that he planted, it essentially blew up the bridge, and we see Dom and his son trying to escape, and even with the explosion that's going after them, and this gets pretty epic as well, and even with the ending that I kind of left me unsatisfied. But even though with the Fast X that's confirmed to be a 3-part finale trilogy to this franchise, and I think that they essentially basically, I think that at the end at a part 2, but even with a part 3, everything else I had to add to even end this franchise. From my main takeaway from this entire film is that with Dom and his family and his crew that are in danger, and with no one was safe, and then with Dante, he was basically trying to destroy everything and everyone that Dom loves very much, and even with his crew and his family, if they're gonna make it alive, it turns out they didn't make it alive, and then even with Letty and Charlie Theron's character that are in the prison, and then they fight it out, and this is with Letty who got arrested in Rome after a car chase, and then we see that they escape, and we get a cameo from the one and only Gal Gadot's Giselle after she made the ultimate sacrifice to save Han, and even though she rescued them from an article from that prison, and maybe with the upcoming final movies, and maybe they'll end it from there. And now, with the post-credit scene, I think this was a must-watch post-credit scene for where we see small operative agents going on a mission, and then we get an appearance by Dwayne Johnson's Hobbs answering a phone call from Dante, and then it's been revealed that with Hobbs, he shot Dante's father Herman in the head, and that with Hobbs it makes with Dante it made Hobbs his next target to go after, and then even with bringing back Hobbs in this franchise after he was introduced in Fast 5, and even though with the crazy behind the scenes drama that Vin Diesel and The Rock had behind the scenes, it was kind of crazy, and even with the chemistry that they had throughout this entire franchise, it was so crazy. But even with bringing back Hobbs in this franchise, played by the Rock, it was really cool to see, because I think, and it was a satisfying post-credit scene. And like I said with Fast X, this movie wasn't perfect or fantastic. It was essentially a good. It was okay. I was satisfied on the medium after leaving the theater. Wanting more. Even with this 3-part trilogy that was essentially confirmed. And even for what story for the last 2 movies, and even with the Hobbs who's now back, with Gal Gadot's Giselle who is back, and even with Dom's friends and family that they're now essentially gone with his crew, and even with everyone else that clearly did not make it alive, even with Dom and his son who are now left standing, and even with the rest of them, and how they set up the next 2 movies. And I think it's going to be really cool to see, but also a father explain all this as well. So I guess we'll have to wait for what's store for the last 2 movies and this franchise as a whole as well. And so that is going to be for this video. Let me know what you guys thoughts in the comments below, and what your thoughts on Fast X if you've seen the movie, and give me a rating between 1 out of 10. We can get this video a like and subscribe to our notification for future videos, and for live updates always follow me on Twitter. And with that, I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.